If this company goes under, you'll finally be mine, Mia. I'm a designer who joined a certain company mid-career. However, my new workplace, run by a female president, was in the red and on the verge of bankruptcy. To make matters worse, the heir of a large company even appeared, aiming to take over the president. I really don't want to do this. For a certain reason, the president was hated by all the employees. After learning the truth about her by chance, the two of us began to struggle to rebuild the failing company. But, please, stay by my side. The drunken president suddenly leaned her body against mine. That's rejected. Do it over. Stunned by her words, delivered without leaving any room for argument, I was utterly shocked. My name is Kyle Miller, and I'm 26 years old. I'm a graphic designer working at a design firm. Graphic design is the job of creating designs for things like product packaging and posters, which means thinking about the arrangement of elements like color schemes, illustrations, photos, and text. I work at Camellia Design Office, a company run by a young president who is still only 32 years old. It's a very small company with only 5 employees, taking on a wide range of jobs from flyers to websites. There, I'm currently working on a poster design for a client. But, didn't you hear me? I said it's rejected. Ms. Vance, why? Please tell me the reason. I challenged Ms. Vance, who had dismissed my design proposal outright. Then, she coldly declared, "Your individuality isn't needed here," and walked away, the sound of her heels clicking on the floor. Is that the only way she can talk to people? It really gets on your nerves, doesn't it? As soon as the president left the office, my colleagues immediately gathered around me. Don't worry about it, Kyle. The president is like that with everyone. You'd think she'd realize by now. That's why everyone dislikes her. The only good thing about her is her looks. All my colleagues took my side. They all started complaining about the president, laughing and joking. Maybe we should all just quit together. Amidst all this, I began to gradually regret joining this company, thinking, this isn't how it was supposed to be. Ever since I was a child, people around me said I had a unique way of seeing things. I was also good at drawing and crafts, so after graduating high school, I went to art college. It was there that I decided the path I wanted to follow. So, is your future goal to be a designer? I remember when a reporter asked me that, and I nodded firmly, saying, yes. By chance, I entered a contest on my professor's recommendation, and at 19, I suddenly won the grand prize. After that, I continued to achieve high marks in contests where even professionals participated. A young genius designer, a rising star in the design world. I was praised with various titles, but I was especially happy with the evaluation of original. I was attracting the attention of many people with designs that expressed a worldview only I could create. I believed my individuality was needed in this world. Eventually, amidst numerous offers, I chose to work for the largest design firm. Even there, I was expected to be a rising star and achieved many accomplishments. I had become the graphic designer I dreamed of being, and my reputation with clients was excellent. My superiors had high hopes for me, and it should have been a smooth sailing life as a designer, but my heart wasn't fulfilled. We don't need a designer's individuality, just safe, decent designs that won't get complaints from clients. That was the company's policy. I just had to keep mass producing designs that anyone could make. I was quickly swallowed up by that atmosphere and didn't even question it. Until one day, I suddenly found myself hating the person I had become. Hey Kyle, what in the world is this? This isn't like you. I retorted to my boss's words without a moment's hesitation. What do you mean, like me? This is me. Isn't this why the company hired me in the first place? The design that was rejected was one I had painstakingly crafted, putting my own personality on full display for the first time since joining the company. I presented it to my boss again, declaring, I want to go in this direction from now on. The response I got was, don't get ahead of yourself, kid. What? The client is hiring the company, not you. You only get work because you're at this company. Your individuality isn't worth a single cent. Those words were the final blow. After clashing with my boss, I gradually stopped getting assigned work, and eventually, I couldn't stay at that job anymore and quit. As I was frantically trying to find a new job, a certain web ad caught my eye. We're looking for your individuality. The female president, who was smiling brightly with that slogan, was the head of this company. Camellia Design Office, a very small but industry-renowned firm for its unique designs that utilized each employee's individuality. At this company, I thought I could finally express my own individuality and create the designs I truly wanted to make. Thinking that, I immediately applied for the job and was successfully hired. That was what happened a month ago. Your individuality isn't needed here. Ms. Vance's words echoed repeatedly in the back of my mind. That's not right. Overcome by such indignation and the empty feeling that this place was just the same. That night, I decided to drink my sorrows away for the first time in my life. So I guess anyone could have done my job. Muttering to myself, I chugged a beer at the bar counter. I recall my first day at work, the words the president said to me. "I'm so happy you're here. It's a pleasure to have you, Kyle." She sure has a way with words for a president. I can still picture her small smile so clearly, as if it were a painting. Because I was happy too. Her words, the fact that she needed me. Well, it turned out to be just my misunderstanding though. Damn it. Another beer, please. As if to drown my helpless feelings in alcohol, I downed another glass, and then another, in quick succession. I don't usually drink much, so in less than an hour, I was completely wasted. Ugh, I feel sick. I had completely overdone it. I couldn't even stand up, so I slumped over the counter, waiting for the alcohol to wear off even a little. Then, I heard someone sit down next to me and say, "Excuse me, can I get a drink?" After that, the voice calling a waiter and ordering something echoed in my hazy mind. And then suddenly, my shoulder was tapped. "Are you okay? Here, have some water." I slowly lifted my head at the sound of the voice. In front of me was a glass of water, and next to me was a woman who said, "Your face is bright red, Kyle. You've clearly had too much to drink." The strange woman who knew my name was sitting there. Her long, black hair, down to her shoulders, sparkled under the light above, as if she were cloaked in light. Peering at me with concern were large, clear eyes. From her calm demeanor, I initially thought she was older than me, but her large eyes and the soft lines of her other features gave her a slightly youthful feel. She was a stunning beauty, which was obvious even in my drunken state. "Thank you." Prompted by the woman, I gulped down the glass of water. The cold water was a relief to my flushed body. When I thanked the woman again, she smiled brightly. Her smile is beautiful too. I'm sure my heart skipped a beat, and I could feel my face start to flush again. How do you know my name? Have we met somewhere before? You don't recognize me?" The woman's eyes widened in surprise. But then she immediately smirked, a knowing look on her face, and ordered a beer from the waiter in front of her. "Since we're here, will you keep me company? You just have to sit here. I'll pay." My head wasn't working right from the alcohol, so without thinking too much, I just nodded and said, "All right." The woman chugged her beer and then, smiling, ordered a second one. That's delicious. Nothing beats a drink when you're stressed. You too, which means you must be stressed too, Kyle. Yeah. I'm not sure if it was because of the alcohol or because she was such a good listener, but I feel like I ended up telling her all sorts of things. I admired her so much, but I never thought she'd be that kind of person. You admired her? I loved her. I first met her when I was a sophomore in college. I heard that a young, promising graphic designer was holding a solo exhibition at a department store near my university, so I went, thinking it might be a good reference for my own work. But there, I was struck by a shock, as if I had been hit by lightning. This is amazing. Her works were all so breathtaking that the words just slipped out. What were her motifs, And what process did she go through to create them? It was such an original and unique worldview that it made me think I probably wouldn't be able to understand it, even with 20 years of experience. More than the frustration of not understanding, the joy of seeing them up close was greater. And thank you for coming to see it. You must be a student. The older woman with glasses smiled at me. The designer who held the exhibition, Miss Vance, I fell in love with her at first sight. Hum. Huh. When I came to, I was lying in an unfamiliar place. Underneath me were pure white sheets. Bright sunlight streamed in through the lace curtains. It was a very simple room, with just the bed I was on and a sideboard next to it. About yesterday. No matter how hard I racked my brain, I had no memory of what happened after talking with that beautiful woman. It seems I fell asleep while we were talking. So, where in the world am I? Ow, ow, my head. Are you okay? You have a hangover. First, drink some water. Someone opened the door and came into the room. The gentle voice offering me water sounded familiar. When I looked up, I gasped. Good morning, Kyle. In front of me was none other than the beautiful woman from yesterday. She was wearing an apron over a white shirt. Perhaps she was making breakfast. She smiled softly at my surprise and said with a sudden grin, "Last night was fun, wasn't it?" Then she took out a pair of glasses from her apron pocket, put them on, and started tying her hair back with a hair tie. Wait, no way. As the woman's appearance gradually changed, the blood drained from my face. And when she finally took off her apron, the usual Miss Vance appeared. The long, rectangular glasses that made her large eyes look smaller due to the strong prescription lenses for her nearsightedness. The hairstyle, with every strand pulled back tightly, gave her features a harsh impression. Looks like you're finally awake. This is my house. What? No way. Timidly, I lifted the covers to check what I was wearing. My socks and jacket were off, but my shirt and pants were the same as yesterday. That doesn't mean I can be certain nothing happened, though. You fell asleep while we were talking, Kyle. I didn't know your address, and I couldn't just leave you there. I had no choice but to bring you back with me. Miss Vance, about last night. Don't worry. Nothing happened last night. Not in this house, anyway. What? The president laughed, enjoying my reaction. She's beautiful when she smiles, but this was no time to be thinking that. I had a bad feeling. And just as I expected, the president dropped a huge bombshell. At the bar, you said quite a few things about me, didn't you? That I'm disagreeable, that I'm always too cold to you all. Oh, and you also said that whoever rejected that design must have lost their touch. Ah! I've done something terrible. I was so drunk that I didn't realize the person next to me was the president, and I vented all my frustrations about her right in front of her. Oh my, your face is completely pale, Kyle. I'm so sorry. And you also said this, didn't you? That you've seen me as a woman for a while now. What? It's true that the president was my first love, but those feelings were directed at Ms. Vance, the designer, and I've never once looked at Ms. Vance, the president, in that way. Did I really say that? I was truly surprised to think you saw me in that way. Which means, Kyle, you're going to be isolated at the company. What? Then the president suddenly approached the bed, knelt beside me, and as the bed creaked, she smiled. Because you like me, the one who's hated by all the employees, right? If that fact gets out at the company, everyone will surely see you as being on my side. How difficult for you, just when you were starting to fit in. Is it okay for you, the president, to say something like that? This is no time to be picky about methods. What? Leaving behind those cryptic words, the president got off the bed. And just as she was about to leave the room, she turned back to look at me. You might as well stay for breakfast. And also, I'll have you do that project with the design I instructed. Having seized my weakness, the president made her declaration. Make the overall brightness higher. Delete the background here and here. Make the text smaller. From that day on, just as she declared, the president relentlessly criticized the poster design I had spent half a month on. If I reluctantly made the corrections she ordered, She would then instruct me with new corrections, saying, "Next, do it more like this." This went on for days and days, and my colleagues all looked at me with pity as I was completely exhausted. The first design was pretty good, man, but she just didn't like it, right? Don't let the president's harassment get to you, Kyle. That's right. She's always saying, "No, no," and meddling in our work. What's with that? We're looking for your individuality. If we show our individuality, she just crushes it like she's doing to you now, Kyle, and turns it into a generic design. Just because her own talent has dried up, does she intend to drag us employees down with her? We're at our limit too. For your sake, Kyle, should we all go and protest to the president? Thanks, but I'm fine, really. I couldn't possibly tell them that the president had me by the short hairs. While trying to calm down my worked-up colleagues, I also couldn't defy the president, leaving me stuck between a rock and a hard place. By the time the final poster design was complete, I was completely mentally drained. Ms. Vance, are you really sure this is okay? With a submission to the client scheduled for the next day, I ask a question I've lost count of. No matter how much I think about it, I can't imagine this getting an okay. Because isn't it just the product placed in the center? The text is also tiny, and you can't read it unless you get really close. The client I'm in charge of is a manufacturer and seller of hearing aids for the elderly. While they traditionally had only beige or white colors, they are now launching new hearing aids with more vibrant colors and patterns. That's why they commissioned us to create a promotional poster, but I don't think it's very considerate of the product's target audience. The background is almost pure white. So what's the point of the client hiring us? The president cut off my words with a smile. I'm sure you'll understand tomorrow, Kyle. Ha! And so, the next day, at the meeting with the client, I handed the proposal to their representative with a whatever happens, happens attitude. It contained an explanation of the poster, which, as a result of the president's repeated corrections, no longer had any trace of my design. Though to me, it just looked like an excuse for a shoddy job. This is the design our company is proposing. Urged by me, the middle-aged male representative looks over the proposal. And then his eyes widen as if to say, "What is this?" He's angry after all. I brace myself for impact, prepared for any kind of complaint he might throw at me. Then the representative's mouth quivered, and he said, "This is wonderful." What? When I returned to the company, my colleagues had already gone home. In the office, just the two of us, Ms. Vance asked me, "How did it go, Kyle?" Well, they were extremely pleased and gave their approval on the spot. When I reported the facts as they were, the president nodded as if she had known all along and praised me with a smile, saying, "Good work." But why did they like such a lazy-looking design? How could they be pleased with something that could hardly be called a design? You should have already heard it from him. That's right, the president had said. The background image, with its brightness pushed to the limit, blended in with the white background, making the poster look at first glance like a new hearing aid simply placed on a white sheet of paper. The client's representative praised it as wonderful and passionately explained the reason to me. How striking! It's as if the hearing aid itself is jumping out at me. To have our intentions understood so deeply. We were so right to ask you. Thank you so much. On my way home, I replayed his words in my head over and over. And in the end, I had no choice but to admit it. The design I had come up with would never have been this well received. Thank you, Ms. Vance. You've realized it, haven't you, Kyle? Yes, I was the one who was wrong. When I bowed my head, the president shook hers. That's not it. Your design, Kyle, was striking, vibrant, and full of your personality. As a design, it wasn't wrong at all. In fact, it was excellent. But it wasn't what the client was looking for. Yes, with that design, their wishes wouldn't have been conveyed. Yes, the client's wish. It was to let as many elderly people as possible know the joy of hearing. One of the reasons elderly people dislike hearing aids is that they feel it makes them look old and are embarrassed to wear them. Therefore, the client wanted them to think of hearing aids as a fashion accessory and enjoy wearing them. So, in addition to the traditional beige and white colors, they developed a new product with a vibrant look, incorporating trendy colors and patterns. From something to be hidden because it's embarrassing to something to be worn with confidence by making it stand out. The client wanted to change the mindset of their target audience, the elderly. Hearing that at the first meeting, I designed a background with flashy colors that I'm good at to match the image of the new product's vibrancy. I also took into account the target audience's desire not to be seen as old and deliberately gave the whole thing a youthful impression. However, with that, it would get lost among the countless posters aimed at young people, and the client's wish wouldn't reach the people they really want to reach, the elderly. Recalling the representative's words and the design I and the president had finished, I finally realized it. What the president had been trying to tell me. Sometimes, by keeping the screen simple, the message gets across more effectively. This time, they were pleased. But there are also times when clients demand something more flashy. In those situations, it's the designer's job to explain it in a way they can accept. Yes, I was being self-centered. As soon as I admitted it out loud, my cheeks flushed hot. I'm ashamed to have even once thought that the president's sense had withered. The president was still a top-tier designer, showcasing her talent. Just as she was the moment she became my idol that day. The president gently placed her hand on my shoulder as I was unable to lift my head. For a designer whose individuality is important, there's no job that can be done with a self-centered attitude. It's not enough to just incorporate the client's voice. Sometimes you have to abandon your own individuality and connect with the deeper feelings. Especially us. Ms. Vance? Suddenly, the president's voice took on a sorrowful tone, and when I looked up, her eyes behind her glasses were welling up with tears, as if she were about to cry. Still, the president wouldn't take her hand off my shoulder. Just as I was about to ask, "Is something wrong?" the sound of fast-paced footsteps approached us. Ah! As soon as the president let go of me, the door opened without a knock. And with a rough gait, a young man in a suit, who addressed the president by her first name, strode into the office, saying, "Hey Mia, I heard you managed to hang on by a thread. Thanks to you, it looks like we'll be able to deliver on time. You're as quick to hear things as ever, Mr. Sterling." "Oh no, you have to call me by my name too, Mia. Leo, I'm your fence after all." "What?" I let out a cry without thinking. The man didn't seem to notice my presence at all. He put his arm around the president's shoulder, brought his face close, and whispered at an uncomfortably close distance, "You're working so hard, even though the company's going to go under anyway. Our wedding day is getting closer, and I'm happy, but you should save some energy for our newlywed life, you know." Well then, after giving the expressionless president a light hug, the man left the office with a spring in his step. Finally, he winked at the president and said, "I love you, Mia." "Kyle." Yes." I was stunned, but the president's voice brought me back to my senses. The president had been looking down for a while, but she suddenly looked up and smiled awkwardly with just the corner of her mouth. "Are you free tonight? How about you join me, Kyle? This might be the last time I drink with you." Clinking our glasses, the president offered a lonely smile. She had invited me to a bar she frequented. "This might be the last time I come here," the president said, downing her cocktail in one go. "I might not be in a position to be drinking once I'm no longer the president." What do you mean by that?" I was so concerned about what happened this evening that I couldn't even think about drinking. "Finance, marriage, the company going bankrupt. Even though I haven't been drinking today, my head is spinning more than the day I drank myself sick." "Who is that man?" "He's my fans, though he's the one who's just calling himself that." "What?" The president revealed another confusing fact and smiled sadly again. And she began to tell me the reason why she had been deliberately cold to us, the employees. Her genius-level design talent had been noticed since her university days. After graduation, she was welcomed into Sterling Design Studio, a major, well-known design company, with exceptional treatment for a new graduate. Thanks to her own efforts, She was, of course, doing well at her job, but the desire to work on her own merit, not just under the company's name, grew stronger. It was then that Leo Sterling approached her. That man, Mr. Sterling, is the son of the company's owner. He said, "I'll talk to my father for you. Why don't you go independent?" He encouraged me to start my own company and become a subsidiary of Sterling. Up to that point, the president had been grateful to Sterling. But once she established Camellia Design Office, her lack of business acumen, despite her design talent, meant the company's performance was terrible. It was constantly in the red, and eventually, the parent company, Sterling, declared that if the situation didn't improve, they would use their authority to liquidate the company. If my project had failed, the company would have been declared bankrupt at that very moment. By that man, Sterling's power. He told me, "I'll persuade my father," but he was the one sabotaging me. He secretly arranged for me not to get work and lied to his father, saying I had no intention of improving the business. But why would he do such a thing? I guess he encouraged me to go independent because he was after me. And I, completely oblivious, fell right into his trap. How foolish of me. Then, the president ordered a strong cocktail from the bartender. Sterling comforted the president with a kind demeanor, saying he would take care of things if the worst happened. But in return, he offered a condition, and that's when the president realized his scheme. From the beginning, Sterling's goal was to have her for himself. "I'll clean up the mess, so marry me," he said, as if that wasn't his plan all along. It was so transparent that I burst out laughing by myself. The president laughed as she downed her cocktail in one gulp. I grabbed her arm and stopped her. "Let's stop. This is bad for you. Let go of me. I can't deal with this unless I drink." Like a whining child, she forcefully shook off my hand, and the president, whose face was already red, chugged her cocktail and in the next moment, slumped over the counter. "I'm sorry, President. I really wanted to create a company where everyone could design freely. But then we'd inevitably clash with clients." It was then that I finally understood the president's true intentions. The reason she was cold to us and gave instructions that seemed to crush our individual styles was to shorten the time spent on each job, even if it meant mass-producing safe designs. It was to secure as many projects as possible, even if it meant making herself the villain. It was all to protect us, her employees. It's faster for me to give repeated corrections than for you all to go back and forth with the client, and it's less draining on everyone's morale. If my being the bad guy improves our performance. But in the end, it didn't work. The company's finished. I'm sorry for being a bad president. When the president looked up, tears were streaming down her cheeks. My chest tightened as if it were being crushed, and I frantically searched for the right words, thinking I had to do something. "Let's figure this out together." Now that I know, I have to be on your side, Ms. Vance. We have to find a way to keep the company from going under. After all, you have something on me. Come to think of it, you're right. The president gave a small chuckle, and I, feeling a little relieved, felt her gently lean her shoulder against mine. "Huh. Just a little longer. Stay with me. Please." "Why, yes." The smell of alcohol and a faint scent of soap. The warmth of her shoulder pressed against mine. And then, the president's hair tickling my cheek. It all felt so much like a dream. "Thank you. I'm okay now, Kyle." I had kept my eyes tightly shut until the president nudged my shoulder. I was afraid that if I opened them, this dream would end. However, turning around a company deep in the red is no easy task. I may have acted cool saying we'd figure it out together, but I'm even more of a novice at business than the president. The president had also been asking various companies, "Do you have any work for us?" But perhaps due to Sterling's influence, she hadn't received any positive responses. We quickly ran out of ideas, and the two of us were at a loss. Shouldn't we just tell everyone the truth? It would be better to get their help to save the company. That's the one thing we can't do. But we've cut all the expenses we can, and we couldn't get a loan from the bank. What more can we do? I'll keep looking for companies that will give us work. Like the other day, there must be one out there somewhere. Will you help me, Kyle? Yes, I understand. Splitting the work with the president, I also contacted companies left and right, sometimes visiting them directly to showcase our achievements, going above and beyond my duties as a designer to save the company. Then one day, I got a piece of information and rushed to the president. Ms. Vance, why don't we enter a competition? A competition? This one. I showed the tablet I always use for work to the president, who was tilting her head in confusion. On it was a news article published online by a company in the welfare business. They were planning to create an advertising poster for the start of a new business, and they were looking for a company to handle the design through a competition. If we can get this job, it'll be great publicity for the company. I'm sure other jobs will start pouring in. It certainly might be a chance. Let's do it, Ms. Vance. That sounds good. I'd like to try it too with you, Kyle. The president showed a bright smile for the first time in a long while. That alone made me ecstatic, and I was about to start working on the competition right away, but then it happened. All four of my colleagues submitted their resignations at once. Everyone. The president was speechless, and my colleagues explained their reasons for leaving one by one. I heard it from Leo Sterling. His father is planning to shut this company down soon. I have to find a new job before that. I have a life to support, you know. Actually, I've already been invited to join a friend's company. I'm quitting design and going back to the countryside. I'm just so tired of it all. What they all agreed on was that it was the president's fault. Because the president had neglected them, they had reached their breaking point. That's why they all decided to quit. Please wait. At least help us until the competition is over. You don't need our help, do you? Just do what you want, like you've always done. Well, it's fine, right? Even if the company goes under, you have Leo to protect you. Congratulations on your marriage, Ms. Vance. At those sarcastic words, the color drained from the president's face. Still, she pleaded with her eyes for me to say nothing, and then she bowed her head deeply to her colleagues, saying, "Please, just one last time. Please lend me your strength." But her plea did not reach the four of them. All of us are done working under you. Looks like Kyle is different, though. Everyone, if the company is going bankrupt this month, we don't need to come to work anymore, right? It's been a pleasure. The president no longer tried to stop the colleagues who were leaving the office in a group. She watched their backs until the door slammed shut, and once we were alone, she let out a sigh and a smile. Good. What? I'm glad everyone made their decision while the company still exists. Ms. Vance. She had calculated that far ahead, treating her colleagues coldly, because she knew the company wouldn't last long, so that when the time came, they would be able to cut their losses and leave her. It's over. No way. The competition is less than a month away. We can't create a satisfactory work with just the two of us. I know. When we first started the company, the five of us would have meetings every day to perfect a single piece. Ah, well. The president gently placed her hand on my shoulder. You should write your resignation too, Kyle. Ms. Vance. Thank you for everything until now, for supporting the company and a person like me. I wish I could have told everyone at the end that I was truly grateful, that I respected everyone's individuality and talent. The president smiled sadly. Tears welled up in her eyes and rolled down her cheeks. Even at a time like this, I found her beautiful, and the moment I imagined her crying where I couldn't see her, the feelings I had been suppressing overflowed. Don't do it. What? I'm not going to let it end here. Don't you dare marry a guy like that, Mia. I've been in love with you for much longer than him. It was a confession 6 years in the making, ever since I fell in love at first sight at the age of 20. Then, the president ordered a strong cocktail from the bartender. Kyle! Ah, you probably don't remember, but I decided to confess about the time I fell in love at first sight as well, and to calm my racing heart, I gulped. Thank you, Kyle. Ms. Vance Mia took a step forward, and at the same time, she reached out with both hands and pulled me strongly towards her. I was dumbfounded, being hugged by the woman I had feelings for. Mia wrapped her arms around my back and repeated, "Thank you," once more. I'm so happy. But it's okay, really. It's impossible with just the two of us. You'll surely find a new job right away. I'll do everything I can to help. Take care. Then she smiled the gentlest smile I had ever seen and started to pull away from me. I instinctively grabbed her shoulder. Kyle! I won't. Ha! A month later, Mia and I were in the grand hall of the venue for the competition. And there, representing Sterling Design Studio, was Sterling himself. I thought you were ignoring my calls, but you were working with this guy for the Main family, Mia. Yes, if we're going to compete with the Main family, we have to prepare very carefully. Don't you think? I knew beforehand that Sterling would be participating, or rather, that he had decided to participate at the last minute to crush us. So Mia even managed a calm smile. At this, it was Sterling who seemed more flustered. Yeah, you're right. Though competing with us in the first place is a completely ridiculous act. You should regret it after you've embarrassed yourself. Let's both do our best. Shut up. We're definitely going to win. When that happens, Mia, you're mine. I'll train you thoroughly, so be prepared. Spitting out his parting words, Sterling strode away with a rough gait. Mia watched him go, her smile never faltering. Mia, it's okay, Kyle, because we're definitely going to win. She smiled and started walking ahead of me, and her back gave me courage. I was sure it would be okay. After several companies' presentations were over, it was finally our turn. We stood on the stage together and looked at each other. Then I operated the computer and projected the poster onto the giant screen in the center. At that moment, the executives who were the judges for today all made puzzled faces. However, without faltering at all, Mia began to explain the poster with a smile. Our theme is cooperation. We heard that this company aims for a society where people join hands, combine their strengths, and live together. So, we also put our feelings of supporting you from the shadows into this poster. Oh. Even after hearing Mia's explanation, the executives just tilted their heads. But at a certain moment, their expressions changed. Starting with one of them exclaiming, a murmur of "oh" gradually spread. The reason for such a strange reaction is because our poster itself is strange. To put it simply, it's a jumble. The style and color schemes are different, and the motifs are also different. In that sense, a jumble of designs spreads from the four corners of the poster towards the center. If you look at each part individually, it looks as if four different people designed it however they pleased. But once you see the entire poster, the jumbled impression strangely fades. On the contrary, it even feels harmonious. If you look closer, you can even see the four different designs complementing each other. That's why our intention was conveyed to the executives with a time lag. I see, so this is cooperation. How original. Murmurs rose from the judges' seats. As if to drive the point home, Mia also revealed the background of the poster's creation. This was created by me and my 5 employees. What? Amidst the continuing buzz in the venue, someone's voice echoed unusually loudly. Looking towards the back of the venue, I saw a group of a competing company. In the center of it was Sterling, with his mouth agape. It seems some of you are aware, but our company once faced a crisis where we lost 4 out of our 5 employees. This was entirely due to my incompetence as president, but now we have overcome that crisis. And the 5 of us are united in supporting the company. When Mia announced the truth with a broad smile, Sterling, who had assumed everyone but me had quit, and who had in fact encouraged his colleagues to quit, began to tremble, unable to hide his shock. The employees, who possess the talent of rich individuality, have demonstrated their respective individualities to the fullest. The result of that is this poster. When people with different individualities gather, their perspectives and ways of thinking may clash. But they should also be able to unite and help each other. We have put our thoughts into this. Before I knew it, the venue had fallen silent. Everyone was listening intently to Mia's words, staring at the screen. In the midst of it, I was remembering what had happened a month ago. Please, just once, for just a little while. Right after conveying Mia's long-held feelings, I went around to my scattered colleagues and asked them to come to the company. If you talk to Mia, I'm sure you'll understand her true intentions. There's nothing more to talk about. I'm sick of even seeing her face. Please, just somehow. I persistently pleaded with them, who were all showing reluctance, and eventually, perhaps out of sheer exhaustion, they all reluctantly showed up at the company again. To them, Mia said, Seth, you had a one-of-a-kind sense of color. I was always surprised by your bold color choices, and at the same time, I was inspired. Thank you for everything up until now. She had always paid more attention to each person's individuality than anyone else. How that individuality was utilized in their work, and how much it supported the company. And her gratitude for having worked with them until now. She carefully conveyed the things she had always wanted to say but couldn't, in unadorned words, to each and every one of them. Steve, the station ad you were in charge of was so delicately beautiful that many people stopped to look at it. Please continue to have confidence in yourself. Hannah. It was Mia who understood them better than anyone and recognized their talents. And it was because she wished for their growth and success as designers that she agonized over crushing their individualities. Ms. Vance, that's cruel, telling us now. Huh! If you had told us sooner, we would have looked for ways to help the company too. Yeah, and we had tons of techniques we wanted to learn from you, Ms. Vance. You'd better be ready for us from now on, everyone. All four of them shed tears at the president's words, and they decided to return to the company and aim for the competition together as a team of 6. Thank you, everyone. Mia, who had moved the hearts of the four, also gently wiped away her overflowing tears with her finger. Well then, I have a design proposal right away. And with that, Mia proposed something. It was for each of the 4 colleagues to express their own specialized design on the poster. And then Mia and I would create an intermediate design by combining each of their designs, as if creating a gradient to harmonize the completely disparate designs. Thus, our 6-person work, the poster with the theme of cooperation, was magnificently completed over the course of a month. This is our proposal. We look forward to your consideration. After finishing our presentation, we bowed from the stage. Then, as one of the executives shouted, "Wonderful!" a huge round of applause echoed through the hall. Not only the judges, but also the other competing companies, our rivals, joined in the applause. Mia and I looked at each other, and for a moment, she had a stunned expression, but then she smiled and nodded. So I smiled and nodded back. As a result, this competition was a great success. We won the grand prize by a unanimous vote, and it was decided that our poster would be officially adopted as the symbol of the new project. And from the sponsoring company, we even received an offer to continue working with them in the future. With 2 pieces of good news to take home, Mia and I left the venue with joy. Let's hurry back and tell everyone. Yes. Then a voice said, as expected of you, Ms. Vance. I'm proud of you too. Appearing before us was an elderly man in a suit with an overwhelming presence. He was the manager of the parent company, Sterling Design Studio, Mr. Sterling. Mr. Sterling, why are you here? I heard from my son. He said you were also participating in the competition, so I wanted to see you after a long time. I drove here, but I'm glad I made it in time. Mr. Sterling didn't smile, but frowned with a scowl. However, his tone conveyed a kindness towards Mia, and I relaxed my guard, realizing he was a different person from his son. At that moment, a voice said, "That's right. That's my Mia." That poster and presentation were moving. I wanted to show them to my father too. She's my fiancée, you know. Peeking out from behind the president, his son, Leo, rattled on with his glib talk. I glared at him, thinking of all the schemes he had pulled. Then, Mia suddenly squeezed my hand. Would you please stop telling such jokes? In front of my future husband. Huh? Husband? Yes. The man I'm marrying is not you, Leo. It's Kyle, who is right here. What? Huh? Sterling and I exclaimed at the same time. Then Mia smiled only at me and wrapped both of her arms around mine, as if to show off to Sterling. So please stop spreading such rumors. It's a nuisance to Mr. Sterling as well. Wait a minute. I know this guy. He's 6 years younger than you, Mia. I'm better than a guy like that. No, I mean, there's no way that's allowed. Why? Why do you ask? What about the company? You can't just expect me to clean up your mess after you refuse to marry me. That's not how it works. Wah. Thank you for your concern, but I'm fine. What an attitude, after all the trouble I went through for you. Know your place and apologize, or else I'll really crush your company. Feel free. I have 5 strong allies with me now. If you're prepared to fight us, then bring it on, whatever it may be. With a smile, Mia stated her case firmly. It was right after that. Mr. Sterling, who had been silent until then, finally spoke. Dad, give it up, Leo. Miss Vance is a step ahead of you. She's not a woman you can handle. No way. You were happy about it too, Dad. You said if she became your daughter-in-law. That's why you let her go independent. It's because I heard that she, whose talent I've had my eye on since her student days, was in love with you. But as it turns out, you lied to me and then acted slyly to get in her way. Did you think I knew nothing of this? Ah! Glared at by the president, Mr. Sterling turned pale and shrank back. Ignoring his son, the president turned to Mia. My foolish son has caused you trouble. As a small token of my apology, I would like to offer you my full support from now on, so that you can thrive both as a president and as a designer again. I have refrained from helping you until now, wishing for your growth. But from now on, I will not hesitate to lend a hand, and as the parent company, I will also have a say. Mr. Sterling, I want you to leave his punishment to me. For now, I'll send him to a distant subsidiary to start his training from scratch. His future plans are also canceled. Dragging the dazed Sterling with him, the president left. Finally, he said to Mia, I'm looking forward to the future, and left. The future. I wonder if he means the company's future. What else could? I started to say. Then I realized. Mia has been clinging to my arm this whole time. And at the same time, Mia realized she was clinging to my arm and her face turned bright red. Shall we go? Yes, let's. Averting our eyes in embarrassment, we started walking awkwardly. But we didn't let go of each other's arms. After that, thanks to the poster becoming a hot topic, the company started receiving a flood of design requests. With Sterling's interference gone, our business grew steadily. As our business stabilized, we were able to create designs that showcased our individual personalities, and my designs in particular gained a reputation to the point where people would say, if you're talking about design, you mean Camellia Design Office. Mia is also back in the spotlight as a graphic designer alongside her duties as president. Compared to her, I'm still just a novice. I plan to continue competing with my colleagues and honing my skills. By the way, are you two not getting married yet? One day, Steve asked me that question, and I was so startled that I almost fell out of my chair. Hey, everyone knows, for a while now. Come on, we've been waiting for the wedding for a while now. My colleagues exchanged glances. I was sure I hadn't told anyone about Mia and me. Shall we step outside for a bit? Yes. I led the blushing Mia out of the office, as we were seen off by our smirking colleagues. It was so obvious, wasn't it? Yes, it was. Mia leans against the hallway wall, her face bright red. I'm sure I'm just as red as I imitate her. But they don't know this, do they? That 20-year-old Kyle fell in love with me at first sight. And that I probably fell in love with Kyle on the same day. What? I was so surprised I didn't know which to be more surprised about, and my voice came out twice as loud as expected. Seeing me like that, Mia giggled. You said it yourself, at that bar when you were drunk. You said, I fell in love at first sight. Don't you remember? Not at all. What a shame. I was so happy. to find out it was mutual. Ha! It was the day of the exhibition where we met. Mia began to recount with a nostalgic look on her face. The people gathered there were not just aspiring artists like me or Mia's fans. There were also some young people who had just come to heckle, and they were pointing at her work, laughing loudly, and saying things like, "What is this? I don't get it. It's creepy, like a child's scribble." Then, a voice came through more clearly than those voices, saying, "This is amazing." The owner of the voice was a boy who seemed to be a university student, and his profile as he stared intently at the work was impressive. Mia smiled. "That's why I couldn't help but talk to you. Kyle to you. I was nervous at my first solo exhibition, and when I was told such awful things, I wanted to run away. But then I heard your voice. Just that alone made me unafraid of anything. And even now, because my beloved Kyle is by my side, I can keep on challenging myself." "Thank you," Mia says, clasping my left hand in front of her chest. I took out the ring from my pocket and gently slipped it onto her ring finger. "Huh. Sorry, I was going to give it to you tonight, but I couldn't wait. Kyle, will you marry me, Mia?" I was about to say that she didn't have to answer right away when something soft touched my cheek. Mia, who had kissed me, had tears in her eyes and smiled with genuine happiness, saying, "I will. I will never forget that moment, no matter how much time passes." If someone were to ask me what the most beautiful thing I've ever seen is, I would undoubtedly recall her smile at that moment. Why does everyone have their own individuality? I believe it's so that we can help each other in times of need. My individuality, which was once rejected, is now useful for the person I love. At the same time, I am also helped by the individuality of my friends, and sometimes, even when our perspectives clash, I actually find it incredibly enjoyable. The world, full of so much individuality, shines in a myriad of colors to me.